Hey, welcome to the Supported Beauty Boss Summit. My name is Hannah. If we've never met, I am the host for this presentation, and I'm just really glad that you are here because this presentation has so much goodness in store for you. It is by Ashlyn of Ashlyn Writes, and I just love and adore this woman. I think she is one of my favorite educators. She just helps people to really stand out with their words. And so in this presentation, we talk all about how to write in a way that's going to connect and convert for your ideal clients. So buckle up, let's get ready. This is going to be amazing.
Hey, I'm Haley, creator of Recurring Profit. Hannah and I are both so excited to see you here at the Beauty Boss Summit. If what you are doing right now in your business isn't setting you up for consistent paying clients on your calendar, then it is time to ditch slow growth so you can sell more, which is what I specialize in and what I have a podcast all about. I know you're going to love this. So I have something really fun planned for you and I. If you would take out your phone with me real quick, go to your favorite podcast platform and type in the Scalability Show. Once you see my face, click it and then hit subscribe. Then I want you to screenshot that, go over to Instagram and tag me at Haley Burkhead. Every single person who does this, I want to give you something for free. This is not a contest where just 5 people win. Every single person wins once you tag me on Instagram with my podcast. Because one, I want to hang out with you more. I want you and I to hang out on my podcast because I know it's going to provide so much free, insane value for you. And 2, I want to send you in your Instagram DM a coupon code to get my $97 phase out clients plan for $0. So I'll see you in the DM soon. I'm going to move out of your way so you can listen to the next speaker.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the summit. I am so excited to have Ashlyn here. She is incredible. I love learning from her. If you've never met her before, she is a conversion copywriter and marketing strategist, and she is so good at what she does. But I want to let her introduce herself. And can you just tell us a little bit about your business journey?
Absolutely, Hannah. Thanks for having me on to be a part of this. So my business is Ashlyn Writes, super creatively named, but what we do is we come alongside creative businesses, specifically women-owned businesses, and help them with their words. So help them make more money with their words. That looks like one-on-one copywriting services and also with curriculum and tools. I just believe so strongly that not knowing what to say in your marketing should not be the thing that's holding you back from booking clients or making the sales. That is a totally fixable problem. So that's what we do in my business. And I've been in business 4 years this week, actually.
Amazing.
So
oh my gosh, happy birthday.
Yeah, it's still a little new, but yeah, thank you. I know. I realized that the other day. I was like, it's my business birthday.
That is so cool. And how did you kind of get into it?
Yeah. So my background is in corporate marketing and public relations, and I loved that world. I really, so much of who I am today comes from just what I learned in corporate marketing. It was like Disneyland to me. I loved it. And I worked in the agency side and then switched over to more corporate communications. And it was kind of through that I had a side hustle the whole time. I was a wedding calligrapher for brides here in the Atlanta market, southeastern U.S. wedding market. And I loved doing that. It was my stress reliever. I'm not really sure, jury's out on if it actually relieved stress or just added more to my plate, but I loved doing that after being on the computer all day. And kind of like through that, long story, but my husband proposed, and it was just like one more thing on my plate that I had to like do and be good at. And the pressure built up, and I was always a little bit high strung, but I also was had a lot put on me at work, and I was looking for something to control, and I ended up controlling how many calories I ate and then how much that was exerted through exercise. You can see where that's going. I was hospitalized in 2015 right after we got married for an eating disorder, generalized anxiety and depression, and that was the moment through recovery that I had this light bulb moment where I realized there's women out there that have their own businesses, work on their own schedule, and still make money. And I had no idea that was out there. And it was like finding the whole creative ecosystem that lit in me something. And the Lord truly redeems from the pit. That was a really dark time, but I got out of that with this idea. And that's when I started my business. Again, it was doing calligraphy and copywriting. And the more I was in this world with creatives, I saw that not a lot of them were comfortable with selling, which I was like, I love to sell. And so that is when I really focused in on copywriting. Took my last calligraphy client, I think it was 18 months ago. And from them, we are just a copywriting business.
It's amazing. Oh, what an incredible story. And I think there's so much power in story. Like, and I love the way that you use your own story to write copy. So that is amazing. So let's get into what are some like common mistakes you see people making. I'm sure there's a lot.
There's a lot.
What are some of the most common?
Yes. Okay. So the first one I see, and I see this a lot with the creative industry, and I think it is because in this day and age, and I remember when I was in journalism school, it was kind of it was 2009. So here in the US, we had like the recession, things just started kind of deteriorating as far as media and then rebuilding in another way. Niche magazines came into play. All of a sudden you could find a magazine about knitting and crafting and kombucha and like all the things, right? But the same thing has kind of happened in business, and you can really go strong into a small specific niche and make a lot of money. So one thing that I see is people that, oh my gosh, I may have to let my dogs out. We'll see. Sit, guys. Okay. One thing that I see though is people, they're afraid to be bold in their copy and say who it's for and who it's not for. So when you want to work with a specific type of people, go for it. I tell people, like, if you're really struggling on figuring out who that copy needs to be positioned for, who are your 3 best clients in the past, write to those 3 people, because that's, if you could like clone them, that's who you want more of. But I see that all the time. I mean, even last week we were working on a big launch campaign for a client. Like, we've helped her hit multiple 7 figures with funnels. But even then, looking at a product, I was like, this, I'm not gonna say her name, I was like, this needs, like, we need to come on back. We've got to be very specific to this one girl and talk about her problems and her fears and her desires. So that's just, and if you've studied copy at all, you've heard that, but it just, it merits being said, because it's so, like, I struggle with that sometimes. I'm like, we can't go that way, but like, put your stake in the ground, say who you're for and who you're not for, as you grow your business. It's just, it's so helpful for the copy, if nothing else, but it's helpful for a lot of other things. So that's one mistake that I saw. Another, when I look at a lot of websites, I see that copy isn't installed correctly for how people read online. So we have to be aware of the fact that people you don't read books. I've got books everywhere on my desk, imagine that. But we don't read books the same way that we read online. And so when you're getting these big blocks of text, or when you're giving 2 justified columns side by side, they look so pretty. It looks like Vogue magazine come to life on the computer screen. Just be aware that people aren't reading those. They may read that first lines, the first little bit, they may spot the next part, but they're not reading it fully. So you just need to be aware of these kind of things when you're installing copy on your website, and make sure that your copy dictates your design and not the other way around. I'm gonna let my dogs out real quick. Is that okay? Oh, out, out. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
We have some dog training lessons in the process as well. I love it.
Oh my gosh, it's been like rainy here for days. So, okay. Yeah, that, to finish out my second tip, just making sure that you are, when you're installing your copy, not like, you need to, people aren't afraid. I think this comes from, like, bad install comes from people worrying that it's going to take them forever to scroll, and they don't want to make this really long page. That's okay. People will still scroll, especially if you're putting up near the top of the page what they need to do. Don't be afraid to put in secondary, tertiary things lower on that page, like on a home page, for example. People will scroll. The bigger, like, don't try to pack it all in a short space just because you want them to not scroll too much. I see that time and again, and some of those rules apply differently for sales pages, but I do see that a lot.
Yeah, that's so true. What's that program called? It's like Hotjar or something like that.
Yes.
And so interesting looking
Yes.
at where people scroll and where people stop, and it like they rarely stop, like you said, at those
Yeah,
paragraph places, and
you
yeah,
nailed
that's
it.
so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so okay, so those are the mistakes. Then what, like if someone's like, okay, I want to speak to my audience here, whether it's an Instagram caption, website copy, whatever that looks like, what are
Yes.
some of your like go-to exercises when you're just stuck of like, I don't know what to
Yes.
say here.
Okay, wrote those down too. So one thing, like if we come back, like let's think about you're writing your services page for either coming and booking a full day, like a full day experience with you before a wedding, or your highest price balayage and hair appointment, whatever it is, like that services page. So let's think about that for a minute. What we need to do is make sure that we're price anchoring and we're not like, I don't play poker, but I'm guessing you don't like show all your cards, right? So we want to make sure that we have them understanding the value, the transformation before you show them that price point. So in my opinion, I don't want to show them that price point without the opportunity to communicate the value of what that, I mean, everyone, like and I'm looking at my hair because like this is dry shampoo. Like it means so much when you walk out of that salon with that confidence. Like the hair in the beauty industry, you have an opportunity. I love products. Like maybe I'm just a sucker for like I just love the transformation or the promise of the transformation, right? Like you have an opportunity that not many industries get in the beauty space, which is a really cool place to be because women truly can have a transformation with what you do. So here's my like tip for you. Before you go to write your website or your services page, sit down with pen and paper and write down 100 ways that your service could transform their life. And I know that may seem dramatic, but I want you to go through the journaling exercise because it can help get you in a state of mind. If you're struggling with this, go back. If you've got testimonials or texts from clients or feedback that they've given you, read that before you write. Email me if you need feedback on how like that kind of stuff can really impact someone, a woman, like give her confidence. How can it shape her marriage? How can it shape her relationships, her friendships, her business confidence? Like go through as much, like siphon it all out, wring it out like a sponge and write 100 reasons. Then go to write your services page because I want you to get in a place where you believe to the nth degree that what you do can truly have an impact on somebody. Then you're going to start working on how you can position that and then show her the price point. But if she remembers and understands the value in this, I promise you, like it's that, like I need to come up with a name for it, but it's like the Starbucks. Like how many times have you bought something and somebody has said like, it's like 4 Starbucks drinks or something to that effect. You want to have that same effect when you're working with the services page copy on your website.
That's so good. And how do you like manage the SEO side of it versus like the tangible like impact side of it?
Yes, that is so good, Hina. And I have a video where I talked about this a little more on YouTube that I can link. But because I had to dig a lot into this because I feel like I studied SEO when I was in corporate. And then when I was doing my own business, I was like, something's not adding up and it's a little different. So what I found was you want that to be in the title of the page, like the words that you're trying to rank for. Atlanta Hair Salon, or whatever it is. Buckhead Hair Salon. But you also want that in the body copy at least once, hyperlinked in that body copy, included in the alt images and the alt text, and then once in like the headline copy of that. But in that video, I show a little trick you can do with the H1 copy to tell your code that it's the header, even if you're not using it for the header. Because another tip I was going to give, spend 50% of your writing time on the headline, the headline, which is like that is, and there's an Ogilvy quote that says 8% or 8 out of 10 people are reading your headline, 2 out of the 10 will continue. It's been like quoted so many times in marketing things, but it doesn't, we have to remember that the importance of that headline. So when you, and I love that question about SEO, don't don't make your headline so SEO ready that you're forgetting, like, don't let that die on the hill of like, but your customer needs to hear it this way. Like, who doesn't want Jennifer Aniston here, or whatever it is. So that can be a little delicate dance, but that's my thought with SEO. As long as you're putting it in the right places and hyperlinking the right things, your page will bubble up. But Google's so smart now that it is, and I know you work on this a lot for your clients, so you're probably super well versed in this, but as important as the SEO is, Google also wants to get in front of the client, or the customer, what they're looking for. So make that page really appeal to your customer, and you'll also be doing Google service.
So true. Yeah, because you want them to come to you, but you want them to stay. And so I think if it's like purely SEO based, like you said, and that video is awesome. Like, there are ways to integrate it. But even with blogging, for example, like, you have the external links, internal links, you know, the key pages, everything like that. But it also needs to tell a story and hit on their pain points. And that's not always an SEO thing, because their language and what they're feeling and saying.
You nailed it. And I don't know if you found this, but like, our blogs, hand over fist, will always rank higher than our services pages. So when you are like creating, like, it is important to build up those blog posts and have a blog database, even if you're just doing like pillar content and you're not, like, I have one client and she's big in the influencer space and she blogs monthly. She doesn't blog weekly, but like, those blogs are great and they rank. Because like, those look at this here. Those pages are going to be more helpful and like help, like you just said, like getting people what they're looking for.
Oh, so good. And so what are like your top 3 tips for actually writing in a way that connects and converts with people?
Okay, so 3 tips. The first one, just getting in a writing habit is like major important. I don't want anybody to feel like, I think sometimes when you bring up writing, people have all the feels, like hated high school, hated grammar, whatever it is. Writing is a part of, and I think, you may know some of my story with like finances. Finances are one of those things that when I started my business, I was like, nah, like, I'll figure it out. But the more, like, I could hire and outsource to a bookkeeper all day. At some point, I need to know the revenue. I need to know the profit margins. I need to understand what my cost of goods are. I can't outsource that. And your message in writing is the same way. You can outsource parts of writing, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to sell your services better than anybody else, or you're not doing your job. So that is, to me, it's very similar to finances in that way. So like, one tool that I think has at least helped me is, there's a website, it's 750words.com. It's like a free online tool or journal. And it's based off the concept of it's that what the book's over there, Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. She talks about like 3 pages every morning, stream of consciousness thoughts, just get it all out. That tool has helped me a lot. Like, when I sit down to my desk for like 15 minutes, I just write. Whether I like Google writing prompts, I just write and I just get it out. I get used to writing, to communicating. Sometimes I have snippets in there that I can turn around and use for copy on captions or emails. But that is just like a helpful, it's like going to the gym real quick, like do some squats before you get into the day. Even if you, I think it's kind of set up to do every day. If you don't do every day, that's fine. But that has helped me. As much as I loved Julia's approach in writing in a journal, I think I write so much online for clients in my own business that, it was like I needed a little bit of like tapping time. That's one tip I would say for sure. The second, and I know you've probably heard me talk about this, but copy banking and being on the lookout all the time for things that you can swipe and steal like an artist. So if you're, like sitting on your couch at night, thumbing through whatever, and an ad catches your eye, what is it about that ad? Like, screenshot it. What is it about the headline, the caption, the copy on top of the image? Why did you stop? Like, stopping and studying things that do make you pause, whether it's a commercial or an ad on Instagram, or an ad in a magazine, or just to pull away from marketing, if it's just a piece in a magazine or writing, or I know sometimes I'll be listening to like a sermon or a podcast and a phrase hits me and I'm like, that's so well said. pulling little bits of that and putting them into what I call a copy bank. It can just an easy document. It can be on your notes app. It can be an Evernote or Asana or Trello, but having a place where you're putting words and phrases that you may want to use, that you want to try to use, headlines that you want to try. I know I dive a lot into like in little blogs and stuff that I have, like how to organize this, but just getting started and having some place where you can put these things can be very, very helpful. So that is a tip that I still do all the time. I'm always like, lately I've been just sitting here on my desk, I've been looking at like ads from like the 80s and like trying to figure out what is it about that like I like, and how can I then pull that and use it into something for my clients or my business.
Yeah, I love that. And I think like you said, that you like a story a day or something that like comes up, bank it.
I love how like
I love that because it is like, although I batch my like Instagram captions or whatever, like it's so cool having a bank to go to. And I think as like hairstylists, makeup artists, you actually have advantage over everyone else because you're actually with the client every day talking.
Oh my gosh.
And so you would have like stories upon stories of like even something they said, something they're struggling with, you know, like they're so.
I love that.
That's
so you're getting to hear that. Oh, I love like what I would give to be able to just like sit and listen to my ideal client every day talk about like their frustrations, their fears, their desires, what their political leanings are, what kind of car they drive, like just digging into that and like knowing them intricately. That's what you get to do when you own a salon or when you work with your clients. I think being really aware too of like this wasn't on my list, but like, I mean, I record a lot of conversations. If I'm like with friends and they're an ideal and they start talking about, I'm like, I hit record on my phone. It's like, you're going to
be a journalist.
I know. They're going to say little bits that I'm like, that is a headline. Like that, your clients, I guess if you can kind of change and flip your mindset as you work with clients and listen to their fears about, is this going to look XYZ? You know, like how can you pull that into bits of your copy? How can you make that an email subject line for a nurture sequence that you have to pull people to your full day, whatever you have? I love that you mentioned that because that is super advantageous for people that have this kind of clientele.
Yeah, and I think so often as well, like we can assume what their problems are, or we can like, I know when I'm writing, I can just like assume. And I think what I learned a lot from you is like, you know, the customers, everything like that, they can write my copy for me that converts and connects.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
Like listening is one of the best tips you can do. It sounds so simple, but it's so effective.
Yeah, and you've probably done it too. There's times where I will literally lift what somebody says and now put it on a sales page. And like, that's not cheating. That's allowed. That's okay. Like nothing should ever die on the hill of like, I just really wanted it to sound like me. Like, no, it needs to sound like your person. Like she's the one that's holding the credit card in her hand. So it needs to sound like her.
Yeah, that's so good. And before we kind of wrap up and everything, I'd love to just get some like tangible like workflow style. So as far as like beyond writing for like website copy and all of that kind of thing, for like the day-to-day, whether it's blogging, Instagram, all of that kind of thing, what does your workflow look like as far as, do you batch it all on one day? What does that look like?
Yeah. So and again, I know you've probably heard me talk about this. I cannot show up every day online all day. I can't. I get really tired of the internet. I like to ghost. I like to go in my little hole and like be creative. I like to be with my family. So, but that said, I have a shirt that says like Digital Insiders. I love the internet. It's where I make my money. It's where I have my livelihood. It is important to me. So I think like some parameters that I have in place, I've talked about it in a lot of YouTube videos, but I arrange my business on like a quarterly launch system. I call it a champagne campaign method, but essentially I have 4 big, like we are going to book this slot. We're going to build up to it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to book and sell, and then we're going to come off of that. I do that 4 times in a year. So I arrange a lot of my blogging and Instagram and caption work around that kind of stuff. So a lot, you can probably see if you look at what I'm doing, like if you look closely, I guess I definitely go through phases where I just pull back a little bit. I need to process and think and create, and then I go out again. Yeah. That said, I am a big believer in batching. I on Mondays predominantly do a lot of my, again, like I don't usually do calls on Mondays because I still have my yoga pants on.
I have pajama pants on, so we're the same.
I love it. Okay. I am creating a lot of the marketing assets that are going to not only be used through the week, but through the month. So this is just a building. It's an internal day. I'm pitching podcasts. I'm landing podcasts. I'm working on summit assets. Like I'm just internally doing a lot of the cranking, because on the other days out of the week, Tuesdays I'm working on clients, Wednesday I'm doing product stuff, Thursday I have client calls and lots of client meetings, Fridays I'm doing the finances. So operating like that has really helped me just have like one big day where, like you said, you batch your stuff. Like I can batch a lot of the content. If I want to do 5 days, great. If I want to write 3 captions that week, fine. Like whatever it is that I want to create, I can create it all in one day and then call it a day and I'm done. And like, if I know that I'm going into one of those big promotion seasons, I'll rev up that time and I'll have to do 5 posts that week, whatever it is. But that has kind of just helped me keep that rhythm and keep that pace.
Yeah, I love that. Like I think so often as creatives, it's like, but I'm someone that likes flexibility and I like to do this and that. And I find like the structure of batching content actually allows you to be flexible, because it's like, well, I was meant to write 3 Instagram captions here, but I was 6, so I'm going to do that tomorrow and I'm not going to fall behind. So yeah, I love that. And I love like that you have pillars or something like that. So your content is writing for content's sake. Like there's actually a lot of purpose to it.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Like that frustrated me when I first started my business. I was trying to rotate through like talk about this on this day. And like, I would have to write that post at 8 o'clock on that day. And then the next day I'd have to write a post on a different thing. And like, that stressed me out. So and it works. I will say it works really well for some people out there. It just didn't work for me. So that's been really helpful too, to kind of like, again, like I know what we're marketing and what we're driving for. And I can just, like you said, I can be creative. And like, if I work inside now, then the game becomes like playing inside those parameters, and I can't just throw those to the wind, because I know if I do work inside those, I can be more creative in the long run.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Seriously, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Absolutely. Where can people learn more from you?
Yeah, my website is ashlynwrites.com, and we have weekly YouTube episodes. I have this like big goal that I never want anybody to come with us with a question that I'm not like, here's a video or here's a blog about. So hopefully there is a blog or a YouTube for the questions that you may have. And if you can't find that, then please reach out to me and my team and we can help you. But there are lots of resources at both of those places.
Amazing. I like binge your YouTube channel every week. I'm like, oh yay, it's Ashlyn's YouTube day come out. Yes. Well,
I had no idea how much, like, talk about hair and makeup much. Like I envy podcast people sometimes, because you can just like roll. But it's been fun, so thank you.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, we've put all the links below this video, so go and check out everything that Ashlyn has to offer. And thank you so much.
Yay, Hannah, thanks for having me.